smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some disease. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome, guys. Miss Liz in the house. That's right. Miss Liz was not here this afternoon, but we will be having that afternoon tea later. We are working on all of that because of connections and all that good stuff. Because, you know, Miss Liz doesn't only travel in Canada and United States. We go all over the world, and sometimes we have those issues. But tonight I have a husband and wife team. That's right. I have teams in the house, and you all know how Miss Liz loves having the husband-wife teams in the house. We get both perspectives. We get the male and the female perspectives going on. So before we get started, we're going to get everybody over to Miss Liz's YouTube channel, Spotify, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of those fancy channels. And we're going to get you to like, subscribe, follow, and share these tea times out with everybody out there. Now let's get the disclaimer in, let's get the intro in, and let's get the husband and wife team in, and let's spill some tea. And tonight's tea is, let me grab my book. It is transformative health education. We're spilling the tonight. So instead of the T, we're spilling the THE. That's right. So disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guest viewers and participants are responsible for using their own judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutic advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or any content on the discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email, bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate and comment on or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Now let me give you a little bit on who I have in the back. Tonight on the Tea Time table, I'm graced with two souls who blend science and love into one healing cup. Doctors James and Sylvia, doctors of pharmacy and founders of A Teaspoon of Wisdom, bring not just medical insight but heart-centered care. Together, they remind us that wellness begins long before prescriptions. It begins with compassion, community, and understanding. Their work reclaims ancient wisdom for modern families, helping mothers and babies feel supported, seen, and whole. Let me welcome husband and wife, Sylvia and James, to serve us a strong tea together tonight on Tea Time. And let me get them in here. Welcome, guys.
Hello, Miss Liz. Thank you.
It is a pleasure to have you guys. And a lot of my listeners know that I love husband and wife teams because we always get the two perspectives of everything, right? So we have male listeners and we have female listeners. They can ask those questions and get them out to you guys. So I'm going to take you down the first rabbit hole. So I'm going to start with you, Sylvia. Who was Sylvia as a little girl and who's Sylvia now? And then James, I'm going to jump over to you. Who were you as a little guy and who are you now?
Well, that's a fun question. Well, Sylvia, as a little girl, was pretty similar to the Sylvia now. I was always pretty wild and passionate and very playful. I knew actually that I wanted to be a pharmacist when I was 12 years old, which is pretty cool. But I didn't realize that pharmacy was what it was when I was 12. I thought it meant I was going to be an herbal healer. So things changed a little bit along the way when I realized what a pharmacist is in the U.S. But yeah, that's kind of who I was. I was just always a very playful, I would say, enthusiastic soul.
And James?
I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I have a few siblings. We're all pretty close in age, and so yeah, we were always a very playful bunch. I still live within 30 minutes of all of them, and that was me as a kid. I didn't know I wanted to be a pharmacist till much later. I went through a lot of different major changes, but but eventually I became a pharmacist, and then I left. I left because of what we are doing today, which is what our transformative health education, because we needed to bring some real and honest education and more transparent education that we feel is not out there.
And that's what I really loved when Sylvia approached me to be on Teatime was let's get that education out there, right? Let's get the good information out there because a lot of people, like you said, Sylvia, at the age of 12, you wanted to be a pharmacist and you thought that that's what it was. And then you found out as you got into it yourself and you're like, oh, this is not what I thought it was. James, how old were you when you thought you wanted to be a pharmacist?
Probably around 23 years oldish. My sister is a pharmacist. That's my oldest sibling. So he actually got me into pharmacy. So I was already working in a pharmacy as a technician, but I switched my major. I didn't think I was going into pharmacy necessarily, but I switched my major a few times, and then eventually I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do pharmacy.
So it runs in the family.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have a question that came in here. And the first question I want to get out to you guys is what inspired you both to blend your medical expertise with the heart-centered message behind a teaspoon of wisdom?
Well, I would say a lot of it, for me at least, it's crazy because I feel like our souls just like we're meant to always meet in terms of becoming husband and wife, but also going on this mission together. For me, it started when, as I became a pharmacist, I realized that I was having a really difficult time. So like one of the roles of a pharmacist is that we are the most accessible forms of healthcare professional to the public, right? People can just come up to the window and ask any question about their health and get advice. And I always really believed in the power of food and lifestyle changes being the best medicine that we should always start with. And I realized that I was having a really difficult time doing that kind of counseling for my patients, giving them that information, because though I was taught in school that I should always give diet and lifestyle information first before recommending medications, and I'm going to be accessible to be able to do that, I was given zero information on what to actually teach people and how and what diet and what lifestyle advice I can give people, right? Because you tell them one thing and like you have to give them solid information so they can go home and apply it. And so I was really struggling with that because I was like, okay, well, I see that that's who I want to be as a healer. I want to heal people. I don't want to just recommend medications to put Band-Aids on people. So just through like this whole entire, I guess, like soul searching, I ended up going back to school to study Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga. And so yoga became really big in the Western world. But originally, all of these, like Ayurveda and the yoga, they're from the Vedic sciences in the ancient Indian culture. And so yoga was originally meant for the spiritual aspect of your holistic health, to address whatever it is that you need to address with your spirit and to get in touch with your spirit. And then Ayurveda is then your mental and your physical aspect of your health and what you can do with all the daily choices that you make, all the habits, all your relationships, what food you put into your mouth, how that food affects you, the physical properties of a food. Like, it's just such a beautiful science of true preventative care. And then teaching people how to restore their health after it's gone a little bit south. And so I knew right there and then that I need to somehow merge that into what I'm currently doing. And I applied it instantly to my patients in the pharmacy. And oh, it was just always so rewarding because people would come back and they'd give me all their good news on like little changes that they made and the benefits that they're seeing. And I can say with such certainty that I got way more positive results with patients with diet and lifestyle changes than I ever did with medications. Because medications just don't heal. They are temporary Band-Aids. And there's a time and a place for them, just to be very clear. There is a time and a place, but there should always be something deeper. So I guess
yeah, I was gonna say, let me, and then if I bring us to like present day today, like what we're working on now, which is education. We started with a course called Wholesome Pregnancy, which is for actually fertility and pregnancy. And our big motivation was our son, who's 2 years old, beautiful soul. We realized going through everything that so many recommendations were very outdated. Some were reckless. Some didn't make sense. And I guess just from our background, we understood them very well. And then we realized like, oh, people need to know about all these recommendations, interventions, everything that they recommend. And so that's what was our motivation, is having our little boy. And then, so yes, we started this course here.
And how did you guys get the name A Teaspoon of Wisdom?
Oh gosh, you know what? Just random. Well, so I actually first was using it a few years ago for doing individual consultations. I like racked my brain for like months on a fun, name for my business, and then this just kind of popped up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's so cool. Of course, sometimes all that it takes is a teaspoon of wisdom. You don't need anything more. You just need to have, just a little bit of that wisdom, and you're good to go. So, yeah, I fell in love with it, and we kind of left it behind for a little bit as I stopped doing consultations and we focused on other things. And then we brought it back when we started our education sector, which is now going to be most likely a lot of different courses going forward.
Yeah, when you gave me the name of the business, A Teaspoon of Wisdom, I thought of the Mary Poppins songs, Teaspoon of Sugar, and I was just like, either way, right? The medicine, and here I got pharmacy that the wisdom of taking the sugar, not take the sugar.
That's right. That's right.
We had a question that just came in the studio here, and it says, being pharmacists and then being parents, is that what opened up your eyes to advocating for the difference?
Yeah, I mean, that was being parents and going through the process definitely made us realize that that we wanted good outcomes for all kids, because we do know that right now the outcomes have been declining. More chronic disease in kids, just more weaker immune systems. There's just so many complications now, and we very much understand why it's happening, and we wanted to bring that education. But yeah, as parents, we want everybody to be able to enjoy this really happy, beautiful, healthy child, and so that was like a big motivation for us.
I can say that was kind of like what solidified it. But of course, so we met in the pharmacy working together. So we have just had years of countless health conversations, right? Especially when we started our business together. Where can we take our education? Where is the best place to start? And we were already kind of, as we were pregnant, circulating the idea of like, have you noticed that pregnant women are so underrepresented? It's almost like all healthcare practitioners, pharmacists, nurses, general practitioners, unless you're an OBGYN, they're just like scared of recommending or touching the pregnant woman because it's like, she's so delicate. We could just do one wrong thing. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be this like place where we actually know very well how to handle conversations with pregnant women and what to recommend to them and how to empower them to have the safest and healthiest pregnancies, right? It's education that all healthcare practitioners should have. And yet we don't. So that's when we were kind of like, oh, and we were personally invested at that point being pregnant. So we're like, oh, wow, this really should be where we start. Because that's where all of health starts, in the womb, right?
Yeah. And
conception, really, but
yeah. and, just from our experience in the pharmacy, like I could tell you that you could ask, 10 different pharmacists, even doctors, a question about recommendations for pregnant women, you're going to get literally 10 different answers. Very inconsistent. And it seems like nobody's quite sure what should be done. But there's definitely a lot of inconsistency on what should be recommended for a pregnant woman.
And it's not that much of a mystery either. We can just put that out there. It's not a mystery. Like the pregnant woman's body is not this like crazy wild thing. It's not doing anything. I mean, it's doing everything spectacular and miraculous. Let's put that out there too. But it's not something that we should be afraid of. It's the woman doesn't really require much more than just great nourishment, love, and peace, and that's kind of where we need to bring everything back to a little bit, because we kind of got away from that.
We have a question that came in that's not related to the motherhood, but I would like to get it out there for the listener out there. One of my listeners says, food for the mind. I believe in meditation, but not sure if it's working for me. Sometimes I find myself getting upset for no reason at all. This is confusing me. What avenue should I pursue?
Well, I'd be curious to know how long this individual has been meditating for, because it definitely is a practice that you got to keep up with, right? It's kind of like, I know some people think that doing it for like 2 hours a day is needed, but that's not necessary. You can do it just for 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, but it's kind of one of those maintenance things. So I would say if you haven't given it too long of a try, keep going. Meditation is amazing for the soul, for the mind, and for the body. It helps you connect with your body as well. And that's okay if you keep getting frustrated during the day. It's part of being a human, and then just having that awareness, I think, is huge, and bringing that into your kind of meditation and being like, that's something that I can let go of for the next 5-10 minutes.
And it is something that over time, what was it exactly? The brain connections and brain function increase
There's rewiring
as you continue to do it. So it takes time, but it's something worth sticking to for long term. It will help your brain function and connections in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvia, I want to get into, and James, I want to get into the wholesome pregnancy here, because I've seen a couple of things that I was not aware of. And I have my daughter-in-law is pregnant at the moment, and she's 6.5 months pregnant. So I'd like to get some of this information as well as a concerned grandma, right?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Is on your website, you have 70% of women take at least one prescription during pregnancy. Can we get into the prescriptions that mothers are taking, like the multivitamins and the irons and all that? Because that also brought awareness to me, was the iron. The truth on iron Y is what I found. And then the pregnancy, like antidepressants and multivitamins and all that. Let's talk about some of that tonight.
Okay. Maybe you could start if you want with prescriptions. I'll take on the iron because I've been spending hundreds of hours on it. So
these are Iron Man.
There we go. We got the Iron Man in the house.
Yeah. Okay. So we're kind of living in the era of prescription medications. The truth is, when I started as a pharmacist, there was barely any pregnant women on medications. And the goal was always, whether it be an antidepressant, ADHD medication, these I think are rising, anxiety medications, these are on the rise for sure. Antibiotics, whatever it might be, blood pressure medications. The goal was to evaluate that woman at that point and to see what changes we can make to get her to a better place, and to use this pregnancy as kind of like an opportunity to maybe try to wean off the medications. Hopefully a good doctor would be counseling, right, extensively on what changes a woman can make. Let's say it is an antidepressant or an ADHD medication. What powerful practices can be implemented to empower the woman to kind of, try to do this without the medication? Because the real fact here is that these are medications that are not studied in our pregnant women. And so you're taking a really, really big risk taking these medications during your pregnancy, because if they're altering your mind chemicals, they are also altering your baby's mind chemicals. And that is not just the mind, that's your entire body. Whatever a medication does to your body, it is doing the exact same thing to the baby's body. And so that information should not be taken lightly. I come with the greatest compassion for individuals that are on the prescription medications, but I would say that this is kind of the best time to have these conversations on how can we slowly back away so that the baby and the mom are safe for now and for the future.
Yeah, and to add to the prescriptions, and there will be a lot of women that maybe aren't coming on a maintenance medication, but they will take an antibiotic during pregnancy. And I don't think they really give you the full story of taking an antibiotic, especially the later and later you take it. It's really damaging the baby's microbiome as well. And that damage can last potentially a year or longer, meaning that if their microbiome is basically imbalanced, they're going to be more prone to being sick, infections, ear infections. And that's the consequence and the implications of taking antibiotics in pregnancy. So we recommend always to, not just willy-nilly take antibiotics whenever you have some cold symptoms. Like, it should be like an absolute need situation, not just whenever you have a cold, because the implications are pretty big.
And you know what, since we're talking about antibiotics, there are some tests that are also done, diagnostic tests for women later on in their pregnancy, the Group B strep test. There's so much information we put in our course about this, but basically, is it 1 out of 4 women will naturally actually have that bacteria in their flora? And then so what we're seeing is that, surprise, surprise, 1 out of 4 women basically are testing positive for it. Well, that lines up with how many women naturally have it. And this is a bacteria that's actually in your colon. And I guess the fear that's been put out there in terms of, okay, if you test positive, we have to get you on antibiotics during labor, IV antibiotics, by the way, which is like a hit to your microbiome and the baby's microbiome, right?
To start their life, right?
To start their life.
Day one,
so the whole concern there that they put on the pregnant woman is that, okay, this is in your rectum, okay? And we're concerned that it's going to travel up to your vagina. However, not to make light of this, but these bacteria, first of all, they're not motile bacteria. There's certain bacteria that can swim on their own. These bacteria actually aren't motile. They're not mobile bacteria. They actually adhere to the wall, and they have a very difficult time moving unless there's shedding and disturbance. And then we always laugh because we're they would literally have to swing on vines over to your vagina and get in there. And that's just not how it works, And we're kind of making light of it because it's kind of let's look at it for what it really is. We're making this hysteria, and we're we're scaring them to thinking that they need these antibiotics. And we're really, really disservicing the mother and the baby with something that, what is the risk here? Risk versus benefit, right?
So yeah. You guys are talking about the antibiotics. Is that part of the OTC medications?
No, so the OTC is all the over-the-counter medications. So the ones that I think are deemed as safe.
A lot of people think.
I think a lot of people think, and so they are recommended all the time. And I think the one big thing about almost all of them, none of them are studied long term to know the effects down the road for children. It's actually interesting because I know what it's been in the news lately about Tylenol in pregnancy. That's something that's been popping up lately. And there are studies that are showing that the more Tylenol you take, they actually track kids down, I think, to like 8 or 9 years old. They saw that the more Tylenol that was taken during pregnancy, the higher risk of ADHD and autism were in those kids. So, and so they saw that, but like Tylenol, it works by blocking a receptor in your brain, but it also does it for the child. So yes, when they are developing their neuronal connections, we are blocking receptors, and it's affecting them later on down the line. And so, like, what we tell people in our course is that, often the safety studies are based off the first trimester. So like most doctors will agree, like, oh, don't take anything during the first trimester. It's just very important. But that's because during the first trimester is when almost the whole formation of the baby happens. So, but that doesn't mean things aren't forming the next 2 trimesters. What's forming during that time is the functionality of all your organs and all the connections in your brain. But the only thing is you won't see the effects of those till later on in their life. So when they look at these safety studies, they're only looking for malformations. So like, oh, somebody takes a medicine, let's say they take it in the 2nd and 3rd trimester. Oh, there's no malformation, so this is considered safe. They're not looking at what's happening down the line in the functionality, which is really the most important thing. Almost nothing is looked at further down the line.
So in your courses, you guys teach a lot about the medicines and the iron and all that as well. Because I want to get into the iron as well, because I was given a lot of iron when I was pregnant for my first one, and it made me sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about the iron.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, the iron.
Iron Man time.
The iron, well, because the iron is it is a wild ride we went through with the iron, because a lot of it didn't make sense initially. Just looking at pregnancy wise, like what they recommended didn't make sense, because you can't get that kind of iron in your diet. Like, why would they be suggesting so much iron when there's no way you can get it? In the history of humanity, people were never able to get that much, even unless they were literally just flushed with animal livers all day long, and maybe
soak in the iron.
Like that was the only way. But like, there have been vegetarian societies, like, there's so many societies, but they all survived with not the iron that they're telling us to take at this moment. So like that kind of like sparked our interest, like, there's something wrong with this. And then as we dove into it, we realized that so first of all, the iron, there is a government task force that already said that they already know that there is no benefit to testing or giving iron supplements to pregnant women. They've already admitted that. It's not really out there much. A lot of, I guess, beneficial information it's usually buried in a lot of places. So that's I guess for starters. Your body will absorb iron based on your needs. So if you are pregnant, your body will absorb more of the iron from your food. So it typically, like in a non-pregnant adult, you need 1 to 2 milligrams absorbed. And which means usually you only absorb anywhere from like 10 to 30%, depending on the type of food it is. Plants absorb less. Meats absorb more. However, the plants are more sensitive to adjusting. Like if you need more, it will adjust to absorb more. So in general, if you just eat a diet with average iron, your body will absorb more to get what you need. And then there's a huge difference between that iron and the ones that they're giving you then, the ones that they want you to take, like in a prenatal. I know we didn't talk about the prenatal yet, but like the iron in the prenatal, they usually give 27 milligrams, which is a pretty huge amount. For a pregnant female, they would need to absorb about 3 to 4 milligrams a day. And 27 milligrams. So first of all, the ones that are synthetic, coming from a multivitamin or fortified foods, they absorb poorly, but they're also the ones that cause a lot of damage in you, because
So that's why you felt so sick. And that's why that is the greatest complaint when people start taking iron. They're wreaking havoc on your stomach, and it makes sense why you can't tolerate it.
Yeah. And, but basically that this is a lot of stuff that I think is just not transparent or not told. But the iron coming from your food, yes, let's say there's a lot of it that doesn't get absorbed, just like the synthetic ones as well. Let's say 70-80% of it, let's say, doesn't get absorbed. But the ones that come from real foods have protection. So like meat ones, that's a different type of iron called heme iron, and it has a little ring around it. And so whatever doesn't get absorbed, it goes through your body protected and excreted fine. And plants have chelating compounds. These are things that attached to the iron in the plants, and they protect it as well on the way out. All the other ones, from fortified foods, supplements, prenatals, they are completely unprotected. So most of it, which doesn't get absorbed, goes through your gut. But that's the part that's really damaging. So bad bacteria, for example, like E. coli and a bunch of other kind of bad bacteria, they need iron. They love iron. They know how to get that iron, free iron that is coming through there. So that's one thing that will start imbalancing your gut and start causing pains. The iron itself, unbound by anything like that, coming down freely, is extremely damaging. So when iron reacts, it's going to be with either hydrogen peroxide or oxygen. It's going to cause these hydroxyl radicals, which are the most damaging in biology. They cause a huge amount of damage. So they'll damage DNA, they'll damage cells, they'll destroy and kill cells as well. And so as that is also happening, you're slowly destroying your lining in your gut. Yes, it's going to lead to so much pain. And this
leaky
is
gut. Have you heard of leaky gut syndrome, right? So that's basically your lining, right, is getting eaten away. So this would be a huge contributor to something like that, since it's eating at the cells.
Yes. Wow. And so there is just such a lack of transparency, and like it literally iron has a hand in so many different diseases and chronic diseases, like cancer, for example. There's studies that show they need 5 times the amount of iron that regular cells do. Like there's so many reasons why you don't want to take synthetic iron that are out there, but it seems like most of this is buried by saying that everybody is deficient in iron. You need more iron. You need more iron. And so I guess going further is that the tests that they have for iron are also extremely misleading. One of the standard tests is a ferritin test, and the ferritin shouldn't be in the blood, and that's what they're testing. And so that is a sign of inflammation, not a sign of low iron. There is no pathway that allows this ferritin. I'm sorry, I should probably explain more what ferritin is. Ferritin is it's inside a cell. It's what stores iron to keep it from being free, because free iron is very damaging and dangerous. So our bodies will store it in something called ferritin. Most of it is in the liver, but it stores it to keep it safe. But they have come up with a test called a serum. Serum is just testing what's in your blood, and they test this ferritin. It was initially, they came up with a range based on people that they seemingly were healthy. They have this huge range of what a normal ferritin level in your blood is. But in reality, low to none is completely healthy and fine. However, if you're low, they're going to say you have low iron. Even if you have no symptoms, anything, not showing any symptoms, they will say you have low iron. You need to be on iron, and they'll put you on iron. And as a pregnant woman, I mean, there's a lot of things. I guess there's in much more detail in our course. And actually, what I've been working on over the last several weeks is I am creating an iron course specifically not related to pregnancy, but just iron, because in America alone, they estimate that 100 million people are low in iron, which is completely ridiculous. And they say in the world, they say 2.5 billion people are low in iron. And it couldn't be further from the truth. And so I'm coming up with a very detailed iron course that I've been working on every night, and I'm excited about it.
He's the Iron Man, right? He's got to work hard.
It's our life right now.
It's going to be out, I have to guess, in a month. But there is so much to iron, and a lot more than even I just explained right now. But I think people need to know about it. It is not this safe and healthy. It is essential in your body, and it is a metal, but in the right proportions. And that's the thing is, like, iron works with a bunch of other minerals like copper, vitamin C, vitamin A, all these things. And these things are never in the proper proportions and in like a multivitamin, prenatal vitamin, fortified foods. And not only that, but like if I broke it down, like let's say they try to put proper proportions of all these things, of those few, let's say, minerals that they are certain work with iron, those minerals then also work with other minerals, to help those work optimally. So like it's such a complex thing of like different minerals helping different minerals work optimally in your body. They're never going to be able to replicate that in some sort of synthetic form. And iron, I think, just most significantly, and if it's free and unbound, is extremely damaging and dangerous. And that's pretty much what we're doing to people constantly. And people need to know about it.
Well, and I just wanted to relate this also to pregnant women, because pregnant women are fatigued, right? That's like the biggest thing, whether you're pregnant or you're just a person off the street. Right now, our world is fatigued. Everyone is fatigued. And so this is probably where this crazy diagnosis is coming from, because everyone's coming in with that. And there's this like almost this default that all healthcare practitioners are on, that it's like, okay, you're fatigued, low iron, fatigued, low iron. And it's like, it's kind of gone crazy. But all pregnant women are fatigued. We are building a new human, right? A new organ that supports that human. Like, and so I think that's where we need to, like, this is a perfect example of where we need to take like 30 steps back and be like, well, how can we change our society's expectations of pregnant women? How can we nurture them and make them know that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to feel like you want to sleep 2 hours a day. Unfortunately, a lot of women don't have the ability to do that, because that's how our society functions. We are all overworked and go, go, go. But if we could start having conversations around how important it is to acknowledge that it's okay for a pregnant woman to be tired, a lot of women wouldn't be going to the doctor being like, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do anything. A good response of a good doctor would be like, you're doing something crazy, wonderful, you're building a baby, of course you're tired, Like, that would be a really healthy response that we can maybe take into the future.
And why do you think doctors are pushing the prenatal vitamins over the probiotics?
So I think I feel like it started probably in like the 60s, 70s when.
Right, 70s, yeah. So
what happened is that around 50s, 60s, we started really transitioning from cooking meals using whole foods and having, freshly prepared meals at home. Women were going out to start working all of a sudden. The ones that weren't were very allured by the idea of not having to cook a meal, having prepackaged goods. They really sold that to us, right? The marketing industry, that prepackaged goods are it. They're faster and they still fuel you the same way. And so unfortunately, the reality is that a prepackaged food is processed. And the more that you process, right, so that it stays stable on the shelf. And the more you process a food and to turn it into the crackers, into the canned soup, into the everything you see on the shelves, the less nutrients it has. So what we started seeing is people in general were starting to become nutrient deficient, and women were certainly becoming nutrient deficient and not having enough nutrients to pass on to their babies to have healthy pregnancies. And so voila, a wonderful opportunity to create this pill that would, instead of educating, oh, shoot, we did something wrong, maybe we shouldn't have eliminated the nutritious food, let's go back to that. We tried to replace it with a quick sell, because quick is good. Everything quick is so good. We just want to make everything so quick.
Anything that's fast is good, right? Fast food is good. All the fast stuff is good, right? No, it's not.
And we wouldn't necessarily tell somebody not to take a prenatal if they can't actually live with a healthy diet, that could get their new nourishment like that we show in the course. Then yeah, then you probably should take a prenatal if you can't, get the proper commit to like properly nourishing. But we think that proper nourishment is just way more beneficial than taking a prenatal.
And even to the women that do commit to a healthy diet, the doctors will still say, and they mean so well, we don't mean to poop on the doctors. They're sticking to the policies that have been in place for a long time. And it's such a, right, it's a wild world in the healthcare industry. Yeah. And there's a lot of repercussions if you go against what the policy of that institution is and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, you're not taught a lot of that in school either. Yeah. So a lot of it they wouldn't understand anyways, because they haven't been taught this. Or when you first are in school, you're young and you don't really understand, not ever being in the field yet, like you're understanding how this actually relates to later on down the road after you've had some experience.
Yeah, the medical program and like the pharmaceutical or the doctor of pharmacy and doctor of medicine programs are very similar in a lot of different ways in terms of how they address disease states and heal it, not even healing, I shouldn't say that word, and how they just basically disease states and how to go through that. And so there's a lot that's not relayed to us in these programs. But back to the prenatal vitamin, what you'll see is well-intentioned doctors will, see a woman that is definitely eating healthy, and we can be confident about that. She's dedicated, but they'll still say, take a prenatal just in case. And that's assuming that just in case is not that there is no bad side of taking it, right? That's saying that it can't hurt. You might as well take it. And that's not true, because once again, these are synthetic versions of the vitamins that our body can't metabolize and absorb as well as the real ones from food, right? These are synthetic. All pills are made synthetically to mimic what is in our real food, and those cannot be recognized by our body the same way ever. And so not only that, but they're in wrong proportion. So here you might be, eating the best food, just like thriving in that sense, but then you're taking this supplement that has all of the vitamins and minerals in wacky proportions, has a crap ton of iron in there, right? That doesn't maybe even agree with you, is imbalancing your microbiome. And you're almost doing a greater disservice then at that point taking it when you had this wonderful, beautiful, fresh food that you committed to. And you 100% can get all and more of your nourishment from real food. I did it during my pregnancy. It's very, very possible. And I do go through like how we can do that in very, very clear details throughout the course.
So, Sylvia and James, we have a question here or a comment. It says, doctors study illnesses and pharmacists study medication.
So it depends on which country you're talking about. So in ours, doctor, that's certainly true. In America, it turned from a bachelor's program. I forgot what year that was, far before us.
Not that far before me in 2008 when I graduated.
He's like, don't give my age away.
I graduated in 2008. It was not long before that, maybe within 5-10 years of us going.
Well, each country studies differently, correct?
That's right. And so I know, for example, Poland, my family has had a lot of conversations with me because I told them that I got my doctorate, and they were like, no, you got your your master's. And they just refused to acknowledge. I'm like, no, it's different in our country, like because it's very chemistry based over there, and that's literally what it is. They don't study disease states in Poland, like it's very chemistry based, so they know all of that about the medications. In America, they turned it into a doctorate program because that's when they put a heavy emphasis on actually teaching us disease states and understanding what is happening on a biochemical level, and then which medications should be applied to the different disease states, because they really wanted us to have a good understanding of like knowing when the different medications are needed. So so in the US, it's definitely both pharmacists and medical doctors do get disease state education.
Well, and this kind of goes into the question that came in, and it says, what are some of the common misconceptions you often encounter about pregnancy during wellness, pregnancy, health, and wellness?
Can you repeat that one more time?
What are some of the common misconceptions you often encounter around pregnancy, health, and wellness?
Oh gosh.
Misconceptions. Well,
I think the supplement thing is a big one. I know that
Well,
we've been kind of
yeah, I mean, well, well, I know we did already go through it, but prenatal vitamins and iron are probably two really big ones. But
supplements in
So the
general.
supplements.
Let's take a step over the supplements. Just in general, we are in the era of supplements and like biohacking, and everyone's really excited. And this is a really good thing. This is so exciting that people are paying attention to their health and they're wanting more natural solutions before they turn to pharmaceuticals, right? Like, so cool that that's happening. But we kind of have to also be mindful of like what we're using and is it actually really more natural, right? A lot of once again, the supplements, I would say 99% of the time, because you can get supplements that have real food products in the pills. Those are not common, but you can certainly, I know that there's companies that do make those. They're crazy expensive and the average person doesn't usually purchase those. But the average supplement is synthetic. And so in this world of like biohacking, people find their cabinets filled with these supplements and they're taking like 20 supplements a day. And what we always say is I encourage you, and sometimes they still feel tired and they feel like they're not fully healthy and they're always looking for something more because they're still feeling off. And so what I always encourage is to actually take a step away from the supplements and reinvest that money into high quality food that isn't prepackaged, that isn't fortified with synthetic vitamins, that's whole food, fresh vegetables, fruits, meats, dairy, right? High quality dairy, and to cook your meals, and to slow down.
Well, it kind of goes into the question that came in, and it says, you talk about reclaiming wisdom for mama and baby. What ancient or traditional practices do you believe still hold great value today?
Oh, interesting. So in our country or other countries?
Worldwide. Let's go worldwide.
Okay, great.
We got worldwide listeners listening.
I love it. Okay, I love it. And that's a great question because I talk about us taking some steps back in the US here and slowing down all over I would say outside of the US, we see such beautiful practices within the African cultures, within the Chinese cultures, the Indian cultures, the Mexican cultures. They have such beautiful practices of honoring the importance of the time of conception. So something that we haven't mentioned yet today is the importance of the health of the father, the conceiving father, and the mother. It's not just on us women. It's not just on us. And the fertility issues that are happening right now are just our problem. It is absolutely the health of the father and the mother. And so a lot of cultures honor that still and always have. And so there's a lot of practices to help boost the health and purity of the man's health and the woman's health before conceiving the child, honoring how important that is for the health. There's a lot of beautiful practices that go into nourishing the mother during her pregnancy, really giving her proper rest, doing massages, having her connect with her spirit, doing that true holistic healing, the mind, body, and the soul, whatever it is that means to you. And then postpartum, taking care of mamas and babies. We struggle with that a lot in the US. Women are really pressed to go back to work. They don't have much help. They are really pushed to start doing things around the house. A lot of cultures, they have a 30-day sitting period where mama just rests with her baby for 30 days and she is pampered and the community helps out. And that's that importance of community that we can definitely do better with here in the US specifically, I guess is where we're coming from. So
James, I want to talk about fathers because we don't get enough of that out there about fathers and the connection with the baby, right? Because everybody says, oh, it's the mommy carrying it. But the father, the baby, the fetus also connects with the father through sound and touch and that as well, right? When the father touches the belly, the voice of the father. Let's talk about that a little bit for the fathers out there, because I have a lot of males that are listening right now and they're like, what about us fathers?
Yeah, you guys are so important.
Yes, I guess I have to say it's now that I've been working from home for a while now, and I did get, when I was a pharmacist, they did change it right before we had our child, they changed it to where I got 3 months off. So it was actually really great.
That was
So,
awesome. Not really often heard of, for sure.
yeah, so they just changed it. So the timing was great. I got 3 months off. I got to spend with Sylvia and our son, and it was magical. And yes, just all the contact with him, spending all the time with him. Yes, we've really connected. And so like, I guess we both kind of feel like equally connected to this little guy. And it's just so great. But I think, spend time. I guess we are busy too. A lot of people go to work, they're tired. They probably want to watch some TV, I think spending the time with your child is just is priceless, because there's just the connection is just so wonderful. I don't even know how to explain it, because he is literally just all day long just smiling and laughing with us, and I just love it so much. It's just been so beautiful.
Can I one thing he didn't mention about during the pregnancy, and maybe you're not aware of how much of an influence you had in that time, but I think for you men, you really have the opportunity to help us bring some peace into our lives. I think men and women, we're all kind of stressed as humanity. And I can speak from being a woman. We have like 1,000 things going through our heads at all times. And then we're building this baby, and there's hormones, and there's just so much going on. And we're not crazy. We're just going through things, right? We're doing things. And so men, you have this beautiful opportunity to bring peace. And Jim did that for me a lot. And peace is so important during the pregnancy process, because that's really, that's where your health begins. Like if you're stressed, you eat all the healthy food in the world, but your digestion is going to be affected by your stress, right? Everything's going to be affected, and your baby is certainly going to feel that. So I would say men, just bring that peace. We need more and more of it all the time.
Time is flying so fast tonight. And I got so many questions. I'm going to send these questions to you guys so that we can get them answered. And you can also use that as your content, because you just started your TikTok. So maybe some of these questions, you can get that information out there to other viewers and listeners as well, right? But what legacy do you want to leave behind for A Teaspoon of Wisdom?
Yeah, you know what? I think for me, just looking at what we started here, it would be really beautiful to know and to maybe even see, or just understand that we helped a lot of families have beautiful outcomes with their children, happy, healthy children. I guess that's where we're starting. I guess now I already told you I'm extrapolating out to Iron and the rest of the world. So I guess the legacy would
be... new Iron Man has been on Teatime.
Yes. Well, it's one of these things that came out of what we started doing. We realized, like, oh my God, like there's just so much craziness. Yeah. But you know what? So I guess just that we're making a difference, and we're bringing some transformational education that's not out there. Or just spoken very little about, and we want to bring it to light, and just make a positive difference in people's lives and families.
Yeah, I second that, and I think because we are focused on pregnancy right now, and I hope that we get to go all sorts of places with our education for the future, but specifically, our hearts just are so strongly with families and with moms and parents in general. Pregnancy has been made out to be a really scary, unfamiliar process where parents feel very lost, understanding how to get pregnant, how to maintain a healthy pregnancy, those early, few years of life with their kids. And it could be the most magical experience of your life. And if we could just help even 2 families, I would just be ecstatic.
You guys are thinking like me, one family, one person at a time, and then that ripple effect comes. It's one, and then it pours, right? And it just goes to one dot to the next dot to the next dot. And then you make the difference in the awareness. I really want to get out the course and all of that good stuff. And I noticed that if people go to your website, there's a cookbook and all of that good stuff. So you guys got to really just go over to the website. So before we wrap it up, I want to get your final words, and I want you guys to direct everybody over to the website. Spell it out for the audio listeners who might not see our video; they're the only listening, and how they can come and approach you guys and talk to you guys, and maybe have you guys as guests on their podcast as well.
Oh, yes, we welcome that so much. So our website is a teaspoon, TEASPOON of wisdom, WISDOM.com. On there, you can see our wholesome pregnancy course that you can access through there, purchase it through there. There is an opportunity to reach out to us on that. There's a contact form on our website that you can reach out to us. It is me and Jim responding to all the questions. So whatever it might be, we welcome all questions that you might have, all interactions. And yeah, we definitely would love to talk if there's other podcasts that we can connect with. And yeah.
And final words for everybody that's listening tonight.
Iron.
Iron.
Iron Man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have some good talks with my kids and grandkids. I haven't been on tea time.
You know what, for me, because this is like my big focus right now. Yes, if you've ever been told you have low iron or know anybody, you should share our website at teaspoonofwisdom.com. I know it just says coming soon on our website, but I will have a very detailed course about iron, and it will be amazing. But in general, going off of that, like what we see from everything we've done, even with pregnancy and just everybody in general, like the closer you stick to nature, the better off you're going to be. As few interventions as possible is what you want. You know, stick to natural whole foods, less synthetic stuff. Different, whatever interventions they may be, you just want to minimize them only, you know, in really dire situations.
Mm-hmm. And that intuition, mamas, we have an intuition and it's so strong. And I say, listen to it always. Healthcare practitioners have good hearts. They're in a good place for sure, but nothing replaces your intuition and your knowing what is best for you and your baby and your family. So never forget that.
And we're going to wrap it up with a question. I'm going to take you down a rabbit hole just before we wrap it up. And it is, if a teaspoon of wisdom were a flavor of tea, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's your question.
That is my question. I love tea. But how do I
They're like, that's yours. I did the iron.
Okay, well, this is actually a perfect answer. Hold on. I never even thought about this. Thank you for the question. So rose, it would be rose, because rose is just my favorite flavor of like everything and tea. And I think the rose is a beautiful representation of the woman, of the feminine. And so it would absolutely be rose. Yes.
And James, do you want to try and throw
I want to try.
iron tea?
Okay, I can think of one. Man.
You drink a lot of tea.
I know, I drink a lot of tea, so I'm trying to think of one.
I have tea drinkers on Tea Time, guys.
You know what? Only because we made some from the actual dandelions on our property. So maybe some dandelion tea.
That's a good one.
Oh, and if you add them together.
Dandelion rose. Sounds perfect.
Oh, beautiful name too for a little girl.
Oh, I like that.
Yes,
We're
right,
hoping
Jen.
I almost slipped. Yes, son. If my son is watching, Mom almost slipped. We just did the baby reveal, and we're not allowed to.
Oh my goodness.
Don't pay attention to this list.
By the way, I don't want to interrupt you earlier. Congratulations. That's so exciting. Congratulations to this is your daughter, you said, right?
My son.
Your son. Congratulations.
Yeah. My daughter had one 4 years ago. Now she's in kindergarten. So now it's my son's turn.
Yeah, and if they have any questions, have them reach out to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I'm sorry. I also didn't mention, I believe it's on our website, but my email is just my name, Sylvia, Sylvia, at ateaspoonofwisdom.com. So the same thing as our website. And I can be contacted on there as well. So for you, for your children, for anybody listening, I'm here. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it was a real pleasure having you guys on Tea Time tonight.
Likewise.
And I'm just going to do a wrap up here. As the evening tea settles, James and Sylvia leaves us with a reminder that true healing is an act of love. Their message speaks to every parent, healer, and human being striving for balance in a world that often forgets to slow down. Through their union of faith and knowledge, they poured wisdom that nourished far beyond the body. It reaches the soul. Thank you both for reminding us that care, like tea, is best shared one gentle cup at a time. And I will see everybody same time, same place, and we'll do it all over again next week. And we have 2 new topics, so check that out as well. Thank you, James and Sylvia, for tonight. It was a pleasure having you guys on Tea Time. And if you guys need anything, I'm just a tea away.
Love
Thank
it.
you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, Miss Liz. It was a pleasure.